The king of the city is marching. Stand up high to the pride of the land. The founding fathers have labored, and our time to serve is now. The glory of the new Edo nation will forever be our pride. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, you're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, stars are singing over you. You're the land people dream to be.
State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Marcus Onobun, Your Lordship, the Chief Judge, Honorable Justice J.I. Archer, other members of the Edo State Executive Council, members of the Edo State House of Assembly, top government functionaries, His Royal Majesty Omonobanedu Kwakpolokolo, Oba Wise II, the Oba of Benin, Oba Otokwe, who is ably represented by Chief H. Ubazwai and Chief Matthew Atama and other royal fathers who are here present, most distinguished guests, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted once again to stand before this honorable House and to express our profound appreciation to the Speaker and members of this hallowed chamber for the immense support that our executive arm continues to enjoy from you, all in our quest to chart a path for progress and prosperity of our state. The cordial executive-legislative relationship which we have enjoyed in the last 5 years of our government have created the right atmosphere for us to enact laws, review defective legislations, and provide oversight functions to the executive, all for the growth and development of our state. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, we are not unmindful of the inconvenience that members of this assembly have suffered as they have conducted their business at the old legislative chambers in Government House while this complex, the Chief Anthony Nahoro complex, underwent renovation. We are indeed very sorry about the inconvenience you experienced. But we are glad that the renovation of this house is now almost complete. And very soon, the state-of-the-art technology to enhance your work will be installed. And all of this is to ensure that lawmaking is improved for the betterment of our people. This year, our state marked its 30th anniversary. While we are grateful to God Almighty for seeing us through the different challenges that we have faced all these years, we believe that it is also a time for reflective thinking and also an opportunity to chart a new course as a state. In the last 5 years, we have undertaken transformational reforms which have been targeted at overhauling the civil/public service, which is the engine of government. We have also undertaken fundamental reforms in the healthcare sector. We have emplaced foundational changes in our educational system. We have revamped moribund infrastructure. We have prioritized human development, and we have fast-tracked programs and initiatives which will drive inclusive growth. Also, in the last 5 years, we have been in a battle to fix a disarticulated system by reintroducing the discipline and values of planning into government and governance process. We are aware that we need to sustain and deepen these reforms and initiatives. That is why we have unveiled the 30-year development plan process, which we have now commenced. The Edo State 30-year development plan and the Edo State 30-year urban and regional master plan will be the grant designed to set a new course and direction for us into a progressive and prosperous future. In this new fiscal year, we will be anchoring our policies and programs and initiatives on the following 3 key pillars, which are rebuilding the engine of government, creating more economic opportunities for all Edo citizens, and harnessing the potentials of our culture and creativity for the benefit of our people and our development. Mr. Speaker, let me now give a brief overview of the year 2021. Even though the year 2021 was a very challenging one, we are glad to inform you that for the first time in over 2 decades, our actual capital expenditure was more than our recurrent expenditure. I know that we have tried to budget for more capital than recurrent, but in terms of actual spending, this is the first time in many, many years where we are seeing an actual, we're actually spending more cash on capital than recurrent. The implication of this is that we are now beginning to spend more government resources on the people who voted for us and less on running government. Even as we have struggled to forge ahead as a state, we are still confronted with a number of challenges, amongst which are the very difficult security situation and its fallouts, which have caused untold hardships on our people. Due to the high incidence of kidnapping and banditry and the attendant security implications, our national economy has taken a serious hit. The security situation in the country has led to a reduction in agricultural output as farmers could no longer go on with their activities. This has resulted in food scarcity and inflation, putting pressure on the naira and exacerbating the foreign exchange crisis. We, as a government, were constrained by these factors, but we are not undone by these setbacks. Mr. Speaker, it will interest you to know that we have set for ourselves the target to become the Singapore of Nigeria. This is not mere rhetoric, because in the last 5 years we have done a number of things and are confident that with the systemic changes that we are undertaking and the human capacity outlay and development, we are sure-footed to breaking the glass ceilings and attaining a secured, prosperous future for our state and its citizenry. And this future will be powered by technology, data, and insightful planning and execution. We have made certain macroeconomic assumptions in preparing the budget for 2022. The Nigerian economy has continued its recovery from the pandemic-induced recession of the year 2020. The growth recorded in the last 3 quarters have been driven mainly by non-oil sector growth. which is now signaling a gradual diversification of our economy away from being solely dependent on crude oil. On the monetary front, the Central Bank of Nigeria continues to extend its intervention programs, which are designed to support the recovery of the economy until the year 2022. Even though the central bank's policies may induce more inflation, it could still benefit businesses who may be able to produce more goods and services, which in turn will boost government tax revenues. The outlook for the year 2022. Mr. Speaker, barring any major shocks, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, expects the Nigerian economy to grow by 2.3% in the year 2022, even though the federal government of Nigeria is projecting the Nigerian economy will grow by 4%. The non-oil sector is expected to sustain its positive performance in the year 2022, especially as government continues to fund more critical infrastructure, improve the business environment, and curtail the security challenges. The oil sector is expected to return to a positive growth trajectory in the year 2022, riding on the projected improvement in global crude oil demand for up to 100 million barrels per day in 2022. We expect a gradual increase in Nigeria's oil production quota, which is now pegged at 1.6 million barrels, that will now go up to 1.6 million barrels from its current peg of 1.65 million barrels per day. However, the potential threats to this expectation includes the resurgence of a pandemic globally. We pray that we do not have a force majeure on our oil facilities and that we do not see a resumption of militancy in the Niger Delta region. Barring any of these, we are likely to see an increased output in oil production. Given these positive expectations, we expect that the Federation accounts contribution to fund our budget for the year 2022 will not be radically different from our projections. Mr. Speaker, let me now briefly go through some of our major achievements in the year 2021. Even though the economic realities in the year 2021 have been harsh, our government reached a number of milestones in our quest to deliver good governance for the people of Edo State. Although we were faced with the challenge of the coronavirus pandemic and the shocks from its attendant impact on our economy, as well as other headwinds, we judiciously managed the lean resources available to us to initiate and continue investing in human capital, infrastructure upgrade, enhance productivity in the business space, and also fostering economic rejuvenation. Public and civil service reforms. In this outgoing year, we implemented an expansive institutional transformation exercise, which is aimed at retooling, unbundling, restructuring, and energizing the systems and personnel in government to adapt and deploy bespoke practices to ensure service delivery. We launched the Edo State Public Civil Service Transformation Program, Edo STEP, to institutionalize and monitor this process, just as continuous in-service capacity enhancement programs are ongoing at the John Odige Oyegu Public Service Academy. In the area of education, children in primary schools in Edo State today now learn 3 times more than they used to learn with the old pedagogy. The World Bank has acknowledged this consequential progress we have made in addressing foundational literacy and numeracy defects in our children. Edo today is ranked as one of the 5 nationals and subnationals in the world leading the change in tackling learning poverty. We have the lowest number of out-of-school children in Nigeria on account of our reforms. We have now, using the lessons learned from Edo Best, launched Edo Best 2.0, where we are utilizing the same frameworks, the same lessons, which we gleaned from the reforms in the primary education. We are now extending that to 300 junior secondary schools and some of our tertiary institutions. At the tertiary education level, the Edo State College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, with the headquarters in Igoraki and its sister campuses, are being upgraded. In the area of healthcare, we have built a more resilient system involving all relevant stakeholders in the Edo State healthcare system so that we can respond to the challenges faced as a result of the outbreak of COVID-19. With the health insurance scheme now operational, we are building a superstructure to provide a strong capital base for the sustenance of our health system, while providing our people with a more democratized system of assessing quality and affordable health care. Mr. Speaker, we have completed constructing and secured the accreditation of the world-class Edo State College of Nursing Sciences, a model tertiary educational institution that has been primed to produce top-of-the-range health care professionals. In the area of the economy, the CCETC Clean Energy Osiomo Independent Power Plant, IPP, is now operational and powering government buildings in Benin City, including this edifice, Government House, the State Secretariat Complex, our specialist hospital, the Samuel Ogbomudia Stadium, amongst others. The Operation Light Up Edo State is ongoing, and the Ring Road is the starting point, and we have made adequate arrangements to extend streetlights to over 40 kilometers across Benin City in the first instance, and will extend that to other parts of the state. We have also started the Edo Light Up project in Auchi, and that line is being extended to Jetu as I speak. While the landmark Edo State Modular Refinery project has now been completed, it's set to commence operation as soon as we can get lifting rights for crude oil from the Excavus line. We have also, under the Edo State Oil Palm Program, activated and given out up to 50,000 hectares of land to investors for the cultivation of oil palm on the Oriomo axis. We are currently ground truthing in the Ovia axis and will give as much land in that axis to investors. These investments are built to bring in over $500 million into Edo State. We are at the verge of completing the construction of the Benin Bus Terminal, which will open before the end of the year, which is located in Obahabaye axis of Ring Road, and have acquired the portion of the land stretching from the park to Oba Market Road, so that we can expand that park to cater for over 1,000 vehicles at a time. The Edo State Geographical Information System, Edo GIS, has successfully installed a continuous operating reference station, CORS, to upgrade surveying, mapping, and GPS applications in the state. It has also acquired a fixed-wing VTOL drone and a vehicle-mounted mobile mapper to ensure its operations in land and administration are enhanced in the state. We have, in the last 1 year, awarded contracts for the construction of over 150 roads spread across the 3 senatorial districts of Edo State. These roads include those linking towns as well as small townships and inner city roads. While work is ongoing, our contractors have had to grapple with the adverse impact of a very, very long rainy season. But that is over now, and all over the state, our contractors have been activated and they've commenced construction and rehabilitation of roads. We have also paid attention to innovation and youth enterprises. Working with our partners, we have launched the Edo Tech Park Takeoff Campus at Okoromi, where we have kicked off the training of youths in the area of computing, technology, and software development. Our goal is that within the next 5 years, Edo State will produce nothing less than 15,000 software engineers. A batch from the Takeoff Campus is already graduated and are set to take on the world to begin the process of building Edo into Nigeria's Silicon Valley. The Sir Victor Waifo Creative Hub, which is another landmark project, fitted with world-class soundstage and post-production studio, with equipment for production, printing, animation, and post-production, will give us an advantage as a state in the creative sector, so that directors and producers from Nollywood will now see Edo State as a veritable point of location for producing their movies and other creatives. Mr. Speaker, let me now turn to the budget proposal for 2022. Our budget proposals for 2022 is christened a budget of renewal, hope, and growth. Because we seek to enhance our reforms in government to stimulate economic prosperity and improve ease of doing business, and also to continually attract private sector investments so that they can support our development. That is why we, as a state, have decided not to lament, not to have any regrets in spite of the difficult challenges we face, but to have hope, to renew our state and pursue growth. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, our budget size for the year 2022 fiscal year is 214.2 billion naira, which is a 32.9% increase from the 161 budgeted amount for the year 2021. This year, the budget is made up of 118 billion for capital and 95.9 billion for recurrent expenditure. The recurrent estimates of the budget are based on a $57 per barrel benchmark for crude oil, an average daily production of 1.88 million barrels per day, as well as an increase in our internally generated revenue, IGR, in Edo State to 50.3 billion. And we believe that with the reforms that we're undertaking in tax collection management and tax administration today, we will be able to raise that amount of money this next year. We have also utilized some very creative financing options which will boost our capital spending this year. In line with this, we are proposing a capital stroke recurrent expenditure ratio of 55% to 45% respectively, through which we will strengthen the economy and propel the much needed growth to engender inclusive development. The total projected revenue for 2022 is 186 billion naira, consisting of 65 billion statutory allocation, value-added tax of 23 billion, IGR of 50 billion.3, and 11.6 billion from grants, amongst others. Our focus in the year 2022. The budget for the fiscal year 2022 is informed by our government's agenda of making Edo great again, which prioritizes the promotion of social inclusion, economic empowerment for Edo citizens through the deepening of investments in socio-economic, governance, and security infrastructure, and through the implementation of initiatives that guarantee equal access to education, healthcare, and social protection. The 2022 budget is centered on reinforcing a sense of belonging in the citizens and providing them with the opportunity to understand, participate, and contribute to deepening governance. We are providing our people with an oasis of hope, even with the harsh realities that confront us as a subnational government in a country that is confronted by a number of developmental challenges. The main focus area, which will constitute the bulk of our expenditure for the fiscal year, are as follows. Education, 24.6 billion naira. Health, 14.1 billion. Government buildings, 21 billion naira. Roads and bridges, 30 billion naira. Youth and social development, 5 billion. Environment, 8 billion. Agriculture, 4.6 billion. Water, 1.2 billion. Electricity, 2.7 billion. Public safety and security, 9.2 billion. Effective fiscal and business-friendly regulatory policies, 4.5 billion. Technology enhancement, 7.6 billion. Enhancing the working environment, 15 billion. Citizens reorientation, 1.5 billion. Social protection, 1.2 billion. Tourism and the development of the Benin Cultural District, 2 billion. In the new year, we will deepen the ongoing public service transformation through increased process enhancement and automation rather. This will also include phase 2 of the recruitment exercise and expand in-service training opportunities for public civil servants, for which we have set aside 15 billion. Because we want our public and civil servants to work in an environment that is motivating and productive. We also want to enhance their productivity and their incentives to work. Because by doing so, we will boost their service delivery. We understand that the investments being made today will benefit from improvements in public safety and security. This is why we are increasing investments in the administration of justice and the statewide operational go-live of the new security architecture with a sum of 5 billion naira. In the same vein, we have budgeted 14.1 billion to consolidate on the gains made in strengthening systems-wide reforms in the health sector. This will include the purchase of medical equipment to upgrade 12 medical facilities and hospitals, include the improvement of revenue collection mechanisms, and the expansion of our primary health care and health insurance schemes to rural and hard-to-reach communities. Our commitment to infrastructure renewal remains steadfast. In the new financial year, we have budgeted 30 billion to improve roads and bridges and 21 billion for building more physical infrastructure and maintenance of existing ones. Mr. Speaker, we are emphasizing maintenance and introducing strong maintenance culture so that we can preserve the investments on infrastructure which we are currently making. Some of the routes which we will be embarking on or continuing in the new year will include the Upper Airport, Upper Akenwa Road, the Ubiaja-Boha Road, the Uruekben Sabongida Ura Road, the Sabongida Sobe Sabongida Ura Road, the Dumu Yasele Edware Ukumebu Road, while efforts will be intensified on other ongoing projects. As I said earlier, we will expand the Edo Best 2.0 to build the capacity of our teachers and domesticate the Edo Best model by maintaining the physical infrastructure of our schools across the state, as well as intensifying the rebuilding of the dilapidated ones, equipping our tertiary institutions amongst others. On economic growth, our focus this year is to roll out the implementation of Phase 1 of the state's 30-year economic development plan. We will pursue urban renewal and regional development in line with the state's fiscal master plan. We will implement an aerial statewide mapping and ensure the attainment of the financial closure of the Benin River Port project, as well as development of additional production centers and innovation hubs in the 3 senatorial districts on a public-private partnership basis. As I said, Mr. Speaker, motivated by the progress which we have recorded in the Edo State Oil Palm Program, EZIP, we will be launching the Oil Palm Development Initiative and Cluster Farms initiatives in furtherance of our aim of anchoring our economic growth on commercial agriculture while sustaining our food security. In the new financial year, we will complete the statewide taxpayer enumeration exercise and synchronization of databases at the Edo State Internal Revenue Service. The Ministry of Wealth Creation and Cooperatives, the Edo Geographic Information System, and the local government areas, the LGAs, are going to be working in a coordinated manner so as to facilitate the design and implementation of business incentives and schemes across the state. Our goal is to ensure tax harmonization and voluntary compliance by our citizens. Let me end this budget speech by extending our special thanks and appreciation to all our citizens of Edo State who have remained steadfast in their faith and support for our vision and drive that we can engender inclusive growth and sustainable development of our dear state. For our mothers and the market women who continue to carry the burden of our economic growth. We greet you, we thank you. The traders, the artisans, the millions we do not see in Government House, we thank you. Without you, we will not have a state, we will not have an economy. The youths, civil society groups, are revered traditional rulers who continue to help maintain peace and order in their domains in spite of the challenging social circumstances. We appreciate you. Our religious leaders who continue to have us in prayers, the organized private sector, civil servants, government workers, there are so many, too numerous to mention. As a government, we can do nothing without you. And that is why we want you to know that we hold you very, very dear to our hearts, and we really appreciate what each and every one of you continue to contribute to our government. We also want to specially thank our President Muhammadu Buhari, for providing this fatherly role to us, especially in these very difficult times. We want to thank again members of this hallowed chamber. We know the challenges you face. We know the enormity of the work that you undertake for our government. We do not take it for granted. We want to say thank you. We also especially want to thank our Royal Father, the Oba of Benin, Onoba Nedu Kwakolokolo Oba II, for his support over the last 5 years. Finally, we appreciate the leadership of our party, the People's Democratic Party, and our indefatigable leaders and members of our party across the state who have shown concern and in pursuing our spirits and letters of our manifesto in the state. The judicial arm of government have been of immense support. We want to thank our judges, starting from the Chief Judge of the state, through our magistrates, presidents of our customary courts, who continue to maintain the legal structure or structures in our state. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, it is now my pleasure and honor to present to you the Edo State's 2022 Appropriation Bill and details of the budget proposals for your consideration and approval. I thank you for your attention.
Comrade Show, wait, Comrade Lante Oriente. This is the Comrade Show.